Bet you can hear me now, huh? I swear I'm a dumbass today. You got sound? Hey, Spike Man, can you hear me? I don't think anybody can hear me yet. Damn it. What am I doing wrong here? Hey, Darren Hamill, how you doing? Can you hear me? Do I have any sound at all? Loud and clear, okay. That's what I needed to hear. I had no sound earlier. Because I'm stupid. Okay, that's good. Now, my overlay's still not working, but I'm not too worried about it. I'll figure that. I think I've got to put some extra settings in here that I haven't figured out yet. But, because it's showing up on my secondary screen, I'm just not highlighting on my screen, so I'll have to figure that out at some point. No, this time I was stupid, Thomas, not forgetful. I forgot to start the stream. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't have any sound. In order to have sound, you have to have a stream. Once I started the stream, sound came up. So yeah, hey Gerald, how's it going? So yes, I was completely stupid today. It happens. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. This is just a test. I know it's not Thursday yet. Trying to get ready for tomorrow. I've been doing a lot of different things. I had to, make some new files up for my stream deck. And, like this one here, you might like it. This will be for future rants. And this one here is for the train hall. Train show hall. Hey, I thought they came out pretty good, man. It took me a little while to figure out how to do them. I want to do something different, so what the hell. Anyway. Don't know if we're going to... I was kind of hoping to have trains running tomorrow, but I don't think that's going to happen. Hard telling, anyway. Not likely. Yeah, train show hall. I was at a train show last month, or a month before. And I did have a train show hall the show. I don't know when I'll do another one, but at some point, whenever I do one, at least now I have an opening screen for it. Thomas says, Jim, I bought a beautiful railroad spike. It's from 1936. Southern Pacific, made from brass alloy. Huh. Of course, brass wouldn't work on a real railroad because brass is a soft metal. It'd get fucked up just trying to pound it in. But sounds cool anyway. So yeah, tomorrow's going to be a rough day anyway. That's why I said I probably could have got my trains running, but I got to take my wife back to the eye doctor for a follow-up visit. She got her cataract fixed yesterday. So now she's done with the cataracts, fortunately. And I got to do some minor shopping I've got to get taken care of because we're out of everything. Tom says, Jim, I got my stream deck set up with StreamYard buttons. Now I have a few more to do. Oh, that's cool. I'm still not sure how you set that up with StreamYard, but I don't really need to know now. So far, this seems to be working fine. There's no buffering, freezing, any problems. Everything sounds and looks good, hopefully. And Thomas said the golden spike of 1869 made of gold brass alloy. Yeah, well, I think that was more for show than actual. I mean, I'm sure it's not. If they would have left it sitting on the track, you know, even pounded, somebody would have stole it by now. So I'm sure it was just for, basically for show, and then they put a real one in there. So. Oh, what else am I doing here right now? I've been fucking around all day with setting up my stream deck. And, oh, finally I got a good print going. Yeah, it looks like I got good adhesion now. I gotta get some of that glue, because I had 3 attempts to print this cabinet. The age drawer cabinet that I already made one. I'm making the second one. And 3 times the front corners kept popping up. So I cleaned the shit out of the build plate. I think I finally got it. Thomas said Gerald lives not far from the Southern Pacific Road. That's cool. So, damn, I'm a fucking mess today, man. My hair is not brushed or nothing. Yeah, it's a little better. Hey, Signal Cabin, how you doing? So, I don't know. What else am I got going here? This was just supposed to be a general test. I wasn't planning on actually doing it. Gerald says, yeah, about a half a mile away from the tracks. That's cool. I know it is April Fool's Day. And I haven't really had anybody to play a trick on. My wife knows it's April Fool's Day, so I can't fool her. It is what it is. Supposedly, this is supposed to be the new national holiday for gays and transgenders. You know, April Fool's Day. It's what I read anyway. Don't hold it against me. Yeah, I wish I could say I actually got something done in here. I didn't. I guess on the 3rd I'm going to go get the wood and the hangers to build the outside floor for the new room. And I'm probably going to order the new the metal shed tonight from Amazon. So, nah, because I know it's April Fool's Day too, so she can't pull a trick on me either. My dog is staring at me. He hasn't gotten his treat yet. Every day when he comes over and Debbie just brought him over because I knew I was going to be busy here and I didn't want to be bothered yet. But I got his pepperoni sitting here because he lives for pepperoni. And he's staring at me going, hey, where the hell's my treat? I mean, if he could talk, I'm sure that's what he'd say. Now I got his treat, so I break him up into little pieces and hand feed him. He loves it. Pogo! He won't come up here in the camera, though. He's a little camera shy. And I swear he knows when the cameras are running. There you go, Pogo. Got your snack. Maybe Democrat Day. Yeah, it could be, Gerald. They're a bunch of fools anyway. That last one, you good to go? Are you good to go? Got your treat? Alright. So, yeah, I remember when I was in school, that was like forever ago, but everybody played April Fool's jokes on everybody. You know, and it was like that throughout my whole time that I was in school, and then afterwards, it just kind of went away. Like St. Patrick's Day, we used to celebrate that in school too, you know. Afterwards, never did. Thomas is a bunch of idiots. Oh, the Democrats, yeah, them fuckers are getting worse and worse. I don't know. I'm thinking about, I'm getting ready to do another wise guy video, I think. It's getting about that time. But, you know, they can't help themselves. I mean, they were programmed that way. Signal cut is good. Commercialized now. What are you growling at? Nobody out there. I don't think. Oh, they'll knock if there is. Pogo's on patrol, man. He's making sure nobody accidentally steps in the building. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little crazy. Hey, Hanfield, road layout in the loft. How you doing, Lee? This is hi, Jim, and chat listing is airbrush a footbridge for the train layout. Cool. At least somebody's doing something. I sure as hell ain't. My eyes have been burning all day, man. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't really suffer allergies. I don't smell any smoke because sometimes people, you know, they do either outside wood burning or their fireplaces, and you know, sometimes you get quite a bit of a scent from that. I don't smell nothing, so I don't know what the hell's going on. So, what else is going on here? See, let's see my overhead camera's working today, maybe. This one here, yeah, it's actually working. I got that one working, and the doodle cam is working. However, my east cam is not. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. I gotta switch over to different cameras for I don't know if the computer just can't handle more than 3 cameras or what. Because I got a couple of them unplugged because they don't work anyway. And it could be the extension. I got extension USB cables that are amplified. I got one there, I think it's 30 foot long. And it doesn't seem to be working anymore. So, it is what it is. So either going to have to buy new, but I'll tell you what, I don't really like using the USB on that. I would rather have, you know, wireless, Wi-Fi, or even Ethernet would be better, I think, you know. So I have to look for some different cameras in the near future. I can't afford them right now because I'm really itching to get that other room done. And I figure I can get the floor in and get the shed built and attached to this building this month. And then next month I could start on interior walls, insulation, electrical, whatever. And then apparently now I'll put some benches in because, I'm going to need them. And I wound up going with a 6x8 shed. I wanted originally to go with 8x10, but the price difference is significant for those extra couple of feet. As a 6x8's fine. I'm just going to basically have a couple of benches in there. Going to be moving. All the printers are going to go into that room, so I've got the A1, 2 resin printers, and that's it for now. The curing station, the sink I'm going to turn the sink around on the outside of the wall. So instead of being right where it is there, it'll be on the other side of the wall. And that's about it, really. I mean, well, I'm thinking about taking some of these plastic cabinets and stacking them. I could go 4 high on them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 of the wide ones and 1 narrow one. So I could stack them in the other room, which will be easier to get at, and it'll clean up everything underneath my benchwork here. And we'll see how that goes. Gerald, actually, I canceled that. Last month I canceled it. I was looking at my finances. Well, yes, I could afford it. It's not supposed to come in, I think, until late June. But I'm thinking, do I really want to throw down $412 for that? And my answer to myself was, no, not really. I mean, it's going to cost me a little over $400 to put this other room in with the shed and the floor. And, just for the building and the floor. I'd rather spend $400 on that than $400 on a small engine. So I did cancel the order. I mean, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. At the time, it seemed like a good idea, but... And the price wasn't locked in either. They estimated $412 at the time that, when it came in, at the time of, ordering. So there could be higher prices. The tariff fees, that would all be tacked onto that. I could wind up spending close to $500. Fuck that. You know how many used engines I could buy for $400 and convert them over? It just doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I'd still like to have one, but it's just too damn expensive. Now, if they ever come down in price, maybe I'll buy one. But for the rest of this year, I have no plans of buying any new locomotives. If I buy any locomotives, they'll either be used or new DCC ready. I'll put my own decoder in. I'd rather do it that way than mess around with whatever they give you. But from what I've seen lately, the price of locomotives, even the DCC ready ones, are going for $250 up. I mean, I saw DCC with sound. They wanted what was it, $465 for it. It's a BLI, and it wasn't the steamer; it was diesel. The steamers, they go right on up to $700. They're out of their fucking minds. I am not spending that kind of money on a locomotive. I'm just not. It's ridiculous, So that's where we're at with that. I guess I went out and I bought, I don't have it here now, but I don't know where to put it. It's up on the bench somewhere. I bought an SW1200 switcher. It wasn't an Athearn, it was a, I can't remember the name now, but Concord. I got it for $30 at the train show last one I went with, Tom and his wife Debbie. And I put DCC in it. I put a decoder in it, no sound, just a motor controller, and it runs great. So I spent, believe it or not, $10 on a decoder. It was a clearance sale on Amazon, so I jumped on it. And $30 for the locomotive and a little bit of my time to put it in. And I did put LED lights in there to get rid of the shit light bulbs they had in there. So I had about $45 tied up in the thing. And it runs good. So I think that's what I'm going to do in the future. Because I'm just getting to that point where, I got to start thinking about, expenses. I mean, I had Tom Grassi, he picked up a Motorman for me about 2 months ago when he went to his trade show up there. And I got to buy a second one because the first one will control the overhead passenger line. But I want to have one for the short line as well because I'm laying in a new Sugar Shortline track. That's on its own and it'll be a back and forth deal. So those are $130 thereabouts. So I'll have to buy another one of those. I'm probably going to need some other stuff somewhere along the line that, to make everything work properly. So, it's starting to add up. And like I said, doing the addition on here. Oh, plus I have to build a helix. It'll be a small one, but still, to go from the first level to the second level. I don't know if you can see the, well, I don't have a camera. I don't have a panoramic camera now, but at some point I'll put one in. But I got my yard up on the second level over here on the right. In the back I have a intermodal yard. On the left I've got several small businesses. The scrap yard. And I still want to put a few more things up there yet, but I need a way to get to it. Right now there's no way to get to the second level, so I'm going to build like a tip out, I guess you'd call it, back on that end of the wall. And that's where my helix is going to be, inside the tip out. And I'll have access to it through, a couple of lift up doors. It'll only be like 4x4. 4 foot wide by, 4 foot wide, 4 foot out. And I think about 3 foot tall. And like I said, I'll build it right on the outside of the wall. Put my helix in there and then tie it in both the first and second levels. So that's something that's going to that probably won't happen until later in the year probably. Well, once I get this room done. Because initially I was going to put 2 rooms in. I was going to have the room here for the printers and stuff, and a second room just for the helix. And I'm thinking, I don't need a whole room for that. I just need access to it in case there's a problem, which would be easy enough to do. So I figured I'd build a permanent tip out outside on the wall to house the, I'll probably even have even a steps there so I can get up to it easy enough. It'll be a piece of cake. So I've got that yet to do. That's going to be expensive. I mean, not crazy expensive. The tip out won't cost much. But I think I'm going to go out and buy gator board. You can buy that stuff in 4x8 sheets or 4x4 sheets. And it's not cheap. It's not crazy expensive, but I want to get the gator board so I can make my helix pieces out of it. And then I can print up the extensions, the spacers or whatever, supports. Because I've got, Tom Grassi gave me a section of the gator board from his helix and one of the supports. I can duplicate the support and print them so they'll be heavy duty plastic. And like I said, the gator board, I could use that as the one piece as a stencil to make more. So, and I'm still debating whether I'm probably only going to go single track. I might go double track. I don't know yet. But realistically, I think I can get by with a single track because there's not going to be a lot of traffic going up and down. It's like, I might have one that needs to go up there to get to the yard, switch around some rolling stock, and then bring it back down to the first level. But I don't know. Well, like I said, we'll see. If I get a bug up my butt, then yeah, I'll probably go with 2 tracks on it. It's set up for 2 tracks. It's wide enough, so that'll work. So like I said, I've got a lot ahead of me, and some expenses involved, and plus I got regular life that I got to deal with. I got some repairs to do in the house. I'm still got to get my Ford Ranger running. I got the fuel filter replaced. It's still surging, so that wasn't the problem. I mean, that was part of the problem. I don't think it's a bad fuel pump. I think it's a bad EGR valve. And the problem with the EGRs in a Ford is they don't throw codes when they go bad, even though they're technically electronic, but they're not tied in with the computer to throw a code in case something goes wrong. I ran into these once when I had my shop, and I pulled my hair out. I changed the fuel pump, fuel filter, checked the lines, did this, checked that, and the thing would start and then die. It didn't surge, it just died, indicating like lack of fuel pressure, but it wasn't. So I finally got disgusted with it. I sent it to Ford. I said, yeah, you guys see if you can fix it. I can't figure it out. Like I said, they didn't throw any codes or anything. So I'm thinking, well, what the hell, no check engine light comes on with it. So they put an $80 EGR valve in there, sent it back to me, says it's fixed. Well, what was it? Well, it was an EGR valve. You're telling me that a fucking EGR valve kept that thing from running properly? Well, yeah, it was like having a massive vacuum leak, but not one that you can hear. Because I said, well, I listened for vacuum leaks, and I didn't hear one. He says, well, the way it works, you wouldn't hear it. I'm thinking, that's the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard of. So I can test mine by putting a restrictor plate behind it. And, putting it back on. If it works, then I know that's the problem. If not, then I go to the idle air control sensor, which is another $100, but that would more than likely be it. A check engine light's always on in the truck, but it doesn't actually tell you what's bad, and that's the problem with a lot of the stuff in these newer cars. Oh yeah, there's a problem, we're not sure where it is, or it'll tell you something else, and that's not actually the problem. It's caused by the problem. This is what I used to go through when I had my shop. 99% of the time, I'd figure it out and fix it. That Ford Ranger, that was the one I couldn't fix. And like I said, it was a fucking EGR valve. The last thing I would have figured on. So, I'm going to look at that here hopefully in the next week or so, and try and get that thing running. Because in the meantime, I have to use my car as a fucking, the haul wood with. Because I'm going to need 13 pieces of pressure-treated 2x4, a bunch of joist hangers, like 15 of them, and I'm also going to need some. I was going to go with 3/4 inch, but I'm going to go with a 1/2 inch plywood. You really don't need 3/4. It's unnecessary, and it was like a major expense. The 3/4 30, or the 1/2 inch is $35 a sheet. The 3/4 was $65 a sheet, and I need 2 sheets. So we're not doing that. We're not going that road. So, and like I said, we haven't had much rain around here lately, and I could throw a tarp over it until I get the building on it anyway, to keep it from getting wet. And the supports, the structure, is all pressure treated anyway, and will be off the ground, so it should be fine. And that's kind of a big endeavor even for me, even though it's relatively easy to do, but it's probably take me a week to get the frame built, because I'm really slow. But hopefully it'll come out all right. And I was like, I'm really itching to do it. It needs to get done. I've been putting it off now for almost a year. That's too long. So, and I kind of got I got an edge here this month. they settled. I'm with Progressive Car Insurance, and they had a settlement deal, and they had to refund $600 back to people. Well, they didn't just give us the money. Instead, they gave us a credit. So for 3 months, I've got no insurance bill. Actually, more than 3 months, almost 5 months. So I says, hey, what the hell? Hey, Russ, how's it going? I'm just testing for now, and I got the yakking, so I got that. And then, of course, I referred Tom Kvichak to Pure Talk telephone cell service. So I got 2 free months out of that deal. And I mean, it's like, well, that's saving me a bunch of money. So I utilized that money to get this shit done out here. Yeah, I know, it's only Wednesday, Russ. I just wanted to make sure that I'm going to try this tomorrow night on the live stream, because last week I used StreamYard. I'd rather go back to using this now. My overlay still doesn't work. I don't know whether I can get it fixed in time or not. I don't really care. As long as you can hear me and see me, I'm fine with that, and I'll eventually get the overlay working where I can put your stuff up on the screen, because right now I click on it, nothing happens. And I think there's some settings in OBS I have to change. I remember having to do it last time. I just got to think about what I did and, redo it again. So, I mean, so far everything's gone pretty well. I said I've got some cameras keyed in. Got my overhead camera. The doodle cam. Ease cam doesn't work yet, but I think there's a problem with the cabling. I have a ranch screen. A train show hall screen. My intro and outro. So, the main things are fixed. So I'm just double checking, because I don't trust anything nowadays. I'm getting a good signal today, no drop frames. Been on for half an hour now. Been in the green the whole time. CPU usage is low, which is good. So hopefully this will all work out tomorrow as well. I hope. If not, I may have to interrupt the stream and go back to StreamYard. I don't seem to have any problems on StreamYard. But you got to understand that StreamYard is already part of the internet, so it works better. OBS is like a third party, so it may be taking up a little more resources than, say, StreamYard would. If I continue to have problems with this, I'm probably going to go out and just buy vMix, which is similar to OBS, only better. Except that you have to pay for it, but you can get a lifetime license for, I don't know, $300 or $400. And that's probably what I'll wind up doing if I have problems with OBS. Now I am using an older version of OBS. I'm using version 29.1.3. They're already up, I think, to 39. Well, actually, I could thank Tom Kvichak for that. He gave me some studio lights, and they have hangers. So I've got, let me bring the camera so you can see it. Try not to make anybody dizzy. There's one of them. You can see the bracket. It's aimed at the wall. And then I took the second bracket, and I've got a camera mounted on it. And of course it swings. I can move it left or right. I just keep it out of the way because I tend to hit my head on it. And the second light, I printed a bracket for it and strapped it to the wall. So that when I'm doing, usually when I'm doing my Wise Guys, I turn the lights on because I use a green screen. So that's how I'm doing my overhead cam. Because the problem you have with that, of course, is, finding a bracket that'll work. So I was able to utilize, and it already had the mounts on it for a camera. So I said, well, shit, I'll take the light off of that. I'll make one for the second light and screw a camera on there. And I did, and like I said, it works great. It's, you know, like I said, you can move it different ways. That looks a little more, you know, correct. So, but like I said, but when I'm not using, I just kind of throw it over there so I don't smack my head when I stand up. But it worked out pretty good. Like I said, I could thank Tom Kovichak for that. I mean, he gave me these lights and brackets, and I know they weren't cheap. But they really did help me out, because I had one of those LED ring lights I had put over here, because for whatever reason, this side of the green screen was never actually light up bright enough, and I would get I don't know, like contamination on the screen once I put my overlay on it. So having the bright lights now, you see, turn them on, it makes a big difference. They're very bright. And they really light up the screen good. The green screen's up on the ceiling, I just pull it down. And it goes all the way down to the floor. And when I'm done, I put it back up and we're good to go. So, yeah, I kind of tend to make things work the way I need them to. Because, you know, it is what it is. Oh, like I said, I've got to get the other cameras fixed, though. I've got 2 cameras down at the other end of the layout. One would be considered a west camera, and the other one is like right in front of the tunnel. I can't get either one of them to work. And they're USB cams, but I've got USB amplified extension cords on them, which are like 30 foot long. It's not a great system. I think I'm going to do away with it and go with, you know, like a PoE camera, which is power over Ethernet. But I'll have to get a card for my computer in order to be able to, you know, access it, but that's fine. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but at some point it will. And I've got a camera over here, which I don't know why it's not working. That's the East Cam. I think it's the East. Is that East? Or, yeah, East Cam. I don't know why it stopped working. It was working. Then it quit working, so I don't know what the hell's going on. Russ says I have to figure out a setup for my iPhone so I can do videos on my work table. Yeah, well, you can use your phone. I mean, a lot of guys do and they work. It's better to have a camera and a computer. Like you said, do you have a laptop? You got a laptop, you can go out and buy a webcam, and there you go. You know, and a microphone, or you could... Well, some of the webcams have microphones on them. They're not that great, but they work. And so even the laptops, a lot of them have cameras on them and a microphone, so you wouldn't even have to buy externals. But it's still better to do that. But, what the hell's burning my eye today? So, you know, but yeah, that's, I mean, said the phone is okay, but it's not the perfect setup. If you have a printer, you could always print a stand for your iPhone. That's what I did here. I don't have my phone out here, but my phone sits in this cradle that I printed up, and it works well. I don't really use it for photography, but just to have it there, I can see it at a glance without having to, because if it's laying down, it's tough to see. So, you know. Like I said, I printed that one up. I figure out a way to make things work for myself whenever I can. Not always easy, but there's a way. Let's see how my print's doing over there. Yeah, it's fucking up again. Son of a bitch. I gotta get some glue. Well, let me put a stop to that. Can I do that from here? Actually, no, I can't. Let me turn that thing off real quick. What the hell's going on? Well, it's adhesion is what it is. Tom Grassie's already told me to get. I got glue for that, and I need to order some. I think I'm going to order some tonight. Because what happens is that the corners, I don't know how well you can see that here, but they start folding up a little bit. And the problem with that is when you print the cabinet, if there's any defects in the, because this is the back, if there's any defects in it, the drawer won't fit in there properly. It'll stick out a little bit. I don't want that to happen, so. Hey, Floyd, how's it going? Good to see you. Thomas said, I 3D printed a tripod stand for my iPhone. There you go. Well, I got one of those, too. Oh, mine just for the webcam. What the hell do I do with it? It's a small one, a little tripod deal. I don't know what the hell I did with it. Yeah, I put things away and then I can't find them later on. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I did with it. Anyway, it's only about this tall. About 10 inches tall, but it works great. It folds out into a tripod and it's got extension legs. You can swing them out and it gets about, I think, like 14 inches tall. It's pretty slick. It's got a screw on the top and a, so I could just screw a regular webcam into it or really anything. I have an adapter in the house for the cell phone, you know, a little clamp, and that will screw onto it as well. So, Jim and Bamboo Studio, go to the device tab on the bottom, show the print status on the right. You have a oh, okay. Yeah, I figured there'd be some. I just didn't see it. I'll remember that next time. I have a DJI lapel mic for my phone. Video is great on newer iPhones, but audio needs improvement. I have to use what I have. Well, I hear you. That'll work. I mean, I have no shortage. I mean, I've got, you know, the microphone that's wireless. It's got the transmitter, which I wear, and then the receiver, which can mount on the computer wherever. I got that. I've got this one here. I think I've got a lapel mic floating around somewhere. I got all kinds of crap around. That's why I said I got to get organized one of these days. I got shit scattered everywhere. I kind of know where it is, but then again, I don't. So, you know. Like I said, I'll get it figured out one way or the other. No. In the meantime, it's craziness, man. It really is. And I don't know why I don't have the air conditioner on. It's getting a little warm in here. I'll turn the AC on. It's, I don't know out there. Oh, fuck, it's 88 degrees in here. Probably 88 outside. Or 90, somewhere around there. And I'm surprised I didn't notice it. I got the AC set at 78. That's a little more comfortable. Anyway. Yeah, I really don't remember what the hell I did with that tripod that I printed. That's what I said. I got to get organized. And the problem is, I try not to clutter up my desk area here. So if I'm not using something, I don't really like it on the desk, you know. And I've got stuff here that I've been using, like, I don't know if you can see some of it or not. Swing that back over there. We go. I see. I've got my gas torch, my Dremel tool. There's some liquid flux. My soda. Phone holder, goggles, magnifiers. Stuff that I'm using right now, but normally I don't have a lot of this stuff on the desk because it's a pain in the ass and it clutters up my desk. So, wood stove temperature. There you go. Tom Grass, Jim, I sent you an email with link to Bamboo Labs adhesive. Like, okay, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll order some tonight. 78 in my office now. Windows open, ceiling fan on. Must be nice. You fucking northerners. I say it was doing good here, and then all of a sudden it got a little warm. And, you know, they keep saying, well, a cold front's coming through. We're going to get, like, torrential downpours. So far, nothing like that has happened. I don't know where the hell the news is getting their information from, which is an actually interesting topic. Has anybody noticed that the internet, especially YouTube, is full of shit lately? Like 90% of YouTube stuff is all lies and bullshit. And it's getting worse and worse, you know. I was watching a short today. It had this woman sitting in her car, and she had two heads. They were twins, I guess. And everybody said, well, that's really incredible. I said, no, that's AI. And it has to be. And then one guy, he figured out, he says, well, you know, there should be a law that says anything that's AI should be labeled as such where you can clearly see it. And I agree with him, because it's bullshit. Yeah, AI slop, right? I mean, it was a good I mean, it looked real, but you know it wasn't, you know. I mean, I've heard that, you know, I think there have been some babies were born with two heads, but, you know, twins that didn't separate. But it's not as common as you think, and they usually don't see adulthood. Yeah, April Fool's, there you go, Floyd. You know, but this is like all the time. You know, you read a story, and then the next story will be completely opposite of what that story said. You know, like there's one there that says, you know, they interviewed President Trump, and he says, well, I'm on the verge of a peace plan with Iran. They're begging for surrender because they're tired of us pummeling them, which kind of makes sense. And then right next to it, you know, Iran will not back down, will fight to the bitter end, and will not give in to the U.S. or Israel. Well, somebody's fucking lying. I know, Tom, Siamese twins. They're around, but they're rare. And you don't see many of them reach adulthood. That's a big rarity. And, you know, they usually separate them, and they either both live or one lives and one dies, or sometimes both die. But, you know, it's a little weird. I stay at home on April Fool's Day. Yeah, there you go. I wasn't going anywhere today either. I wanted to go to the store. I said, we'll go tomorrow. She says, why? I said, well, because we got to go out anyway, because you got to go back for your follow-up for your eye, you know, your eye thing, your cataract. I said, it doesn't make sense to go out twice. Gas yesterday was $4.29 a gallon for regular. And I've got just under half a tank. Generally, I fill up when I hit a quarter. I don't like going below a quarter. But that's a lot of fucking money, man. That's going to wind up costing me about $80 to fill. I am not happy about that. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, if it's going to, you know, go up or down. Floyd says Simonized twins. That's wax on, wax off. There you go. Well, that's a tough word to spell anyway. Hey, Stormy Dave, how you doing? Good to see you here. So, you know, but I'm just saying, you know, it was fake. Because I was watching another short. These people, they were extreme sports. And this big fat guy jumps off a cliff onto this, looks like an inflatable thing that was strapped to the side of the mountain. He's probably coming in at 450 pounds. Jumps on it. There's a lady already sitting on it, and there's a net about maybe 100 yards past it, suspended by the mountain range, right? So he jumps on it. It collapses. She goes flying, misses the net, overshoots the net. She falls to her death. Of course, he falls to his death. And you know that ain't real because nobody's that stupid. I mean, that's new levels of stupid if there were, you know. And that was just one of the things that happened, you know. And all these people are falling to their deaths. And I'm like, why in the fuck would you even do that without a parachute on? You know, you're literally, 7 to 10,000 feet up in the air. The only thing down is certain death without a parachute. Tom Grassi says gas prices thanks to Biden and Obama for stopping the pipeline. Yeah, probably. Russ says they seem to have too many chiefs and not enough Indians in Iran. Well, I don't know. We destroyed most of their leadership. The latest supreme leader is either dead or seriously wounded. They think he's dead. He probably is. They killed the last one. They assassinated him. And, I mean, they showed videos. I don't know how true any of it is, because like I said, AI, you know. But we're kicking the shit out of Iran. And, I mean, my personal attitude, I was going to talk about this on my Wise Guy video, next one I do, but I'll give you a hint anyway. Trump is kicking around going to Kurg Island, or Karg Island. Karg Island is the main base where Iran exports all its oil. He wants to take it over and, of course, take the oil. I say, fuck that. Let's just bomb the shit out of it. Yeah, it's a sudden stop at the bomb. If we took that island and either destroyed it or took it over, it doesn't matter which, it would cripple Iran's economy because they need the oil, the export sales. So Trump is dicking around. He doesn't really know what he wants to do, or at least he's not telling us. That's what I would do. And I'd say, you know what? You got 24 hours to open up the shipping lanes on the Strait of Hormuz, or we fucking destroy your Karg Island, which will destroy your economy for 10 to 15 years down the road. You know, what do you want to do? Because right now they're not letting any of the tankers get through the Strait of Hormuz without, shooting them down, sinking them. That needs to stop. Like I said, Trump's got to be a little smarter here, And my wife says, well, that's not diplomacy. I says, no, it's fucking brute force. Diplomacy isn't going to work here. Brute force will, And it'll lower the price of gas because once the gas gets to flowing again, the prices will drop down. Because right now, the oil companies, they're taking full advantage of this. And that's another thing. They should be sanctioned for that too, but that's another story. Russ says, got gas in my wife's car Monday night. $4.79 a gallon. 3 weeks ago, $3.29 a gallon. Same states. I know. It literally overnight it jumped from, I think it was $3.79 or $3.80. Might have been $3.80. And then literally overnight it jumped to $4.29. I'm thinking, holy fuck. And thank God you don't have diesel. Diesel's $5.87 here. Bad news for the truckers without a doubt. Stormy Dave says $3.54 on Monday, Tuesday $3.79, $3.89 around here in Wisconsin. There you go. That's what I'm saying. It just keeps jumping. Hey Jesse, how's it going? GRE 2057. This ain't no Shortline Thursday. Well, would you look at that? It's April Fool's. Good one, Jim. Good one. I didn't plan it. Like I said, I just, I figured I better test it one more time before I go live tomorrow. And yes, I know it was April Fool's Day, but I guess in a way it was a good one, wasn't it? Yeah, I'll pat myself on the back later. Sometimes it's nice just to do an impromptu live stream. That's for shits and giggles, Now, Then we could talk about other shit other than trains, so. Yeah, Floyd says the price of gas in Montreal early this week was $1.93.9 a liter. That's $7.75.6 per U.S. gallon. That's fucking nuts. Out in California, it's over $7 a gallon too. Of course, California, you know. Probably Washington State and Idaho too. Hey Bernard, what's going on, man? Testing, had this been an actual emergency, well, you know, I'd be instructing you what to do, you know. Remove any tight clothing, remove your glasses and jewelry, and then firmly tuck your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. That's a little poster I had back in the 60s. It was in case of nuclear attack. It was like 10 things you're supposed to do. And they were all stupid. Then the last thing was, you know, firmly tuck your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. And I thought, that's about the truth of it, you know. And you could probably forego the rest of the stuff because it wouldn't matter anyway. The good news is, Russia and China don't want to get involved with Iran. I don't know if they're just using common sense or there's some other reason, but so far, Russia at least said, no, we're not getting in the middle of that. You guys work it out yourselves. And China says, well, you know, without the oil, Iran's no use to us, so fuck them. I don't think they said it quite like that, but that's what they meant. So, you know. Or during a tornado, yeah, exactly, you know. I mean, any kind of natural disaster, you know, it's risky. Supposedly, we're supposed to have a serious El Nino here this year. Well, the whole country will be. And supposedly that means it will be a very weak season for hurricanes in the south, which will be a good thing because I never really liked hurricanes. And, you know, we got lucky we didn't have anything last year. And hopefully we won't have nothing this season. Bernard says Trump's got something good to say tonight, 9 your time. Jim just heard Iran president has a letter he is reading to all Americans before Trump's speech tonight. That'll be interesting, because like I said, you turn on YouTube, and one story says, you know, Trump's this close to a peace deal and ending the war with Iran because, you know, we decimated Iran, I guess, all their infrastructure, and they have no Navy left. I think we wiped out their Air Force. You know, they don't have much to go on. And then the story right next to it, Iran refuses to back down to America and will fight to the bitter end. Somebody's full of shit. I'm not sure who, you know. But that's what I'm saying. It makes things very difficult. And of course, it's all the news, you know. The fucking news is full of shit. So we'll have to wait and see. I'll have to see if I'll look out for that tonight. I mean, people are mad that we're even over there. And I kind of don't blame them. But I also understand that, you know, I've got some theories on this whole thing. And I could be way off bad. I don't know. But I'm thinking, you know, Trump's a smart guy. He plays 4D chess. None of us know how to play 4D chess. Matter of fact, nobody knows how to play it. He's the only one. And that gives him a distinct edge over the rest of the world. Now I'm thinking he's got to know that, and this may piss off some people, but this is the truth of it. He's got to know that Israel's playing him. Israel wants Iran out of the picture because Iran is a serious threat to Israel's existence. Israel can't take out Iran on its own. Eventually it would probably go nuclear. It wouldn't end well for anybody. So let's get the United States to go in there. They'll pummel Iran's ass, and then we can walk in and take it over, the Israelis. Well, this is what happened. Like I said, Trump had I think it was a 15-point peace plan for Iran. They were ready to do it, but that fucking idiot Netanyahu over in Israel said, oh no, we're going to continue kicking their ass until there's nothing left, because we want Iran. Well, that's bullshit, you know. So it put Trump in a bad position. So, made Trump look bad. It's like, well, that's not what we're doing here. We're supposed to be making sure that Iran never gets nuclear technology to make bombs. And you're saying you want to take them out. That's not what I agreed to. Now, I think Trump knew this from the very beginning. And he figures he can't go out, he can't say nothing against Israel because the whole world would crucify him. Look what happened to the guy from TPUSA. They killed him because he started to speak out against Israel. What the hell is his name? Can't remember. But, yeah, it's true. The Democrats do run the news. So the smart move would be to let them bury themselves. Well, Trump just did that. He let Netanyahu get up on TV and say, oh no, we're not done with Iran and neither is the U.S. The U.S. says, no, we don't want to obliterate them. We just want to make sure they can't build nukes. And we've done that. He's ready to get out of there, because, for obvious reasons. Cost of money, the price of fuel went up, all 9 yards. Not good all the ways around. And the American people don't want to get involved in another bullshit war. So basically, he let Israel hang themselves by their own rope, so he can walk away from this now and say, well, you saw what happened. That's not what the U.S. is about. We're not about conquest, even though we probably are. But, in his mind, he doesn't want to do it, or at least that's what he wants us to believe. And this would be the only way for him to get out of it without getting himself executed. That's my theory on it anyway. Because like I said, I don't have anything against the Jews. I'm not an anti-Semite by any stretch. I do have a problem with the Jewish leadership. Israel's leadership. Netanyahu's a warmonger. He's guilty of war crimes all the ways around. Look what he did to the Palestinians. And I don't really give a shit about them either, but, he goes over, he mows down their houses, shoots them on sight, kids, women, they don't care, because he wants the land. And that's what Israel's been trying to do. They want to take the land to the whole Middle East and get rid of all the damn Arabs, or Muslims, or whatever they are. That ain't gonna work. So, I think the Israeli people, they're fed up. They were getting bombed the other day, and there was an Israeli woman going, you see, God's punishing us because we're doing wrong. And she's 100% right. A lot of the Jews there don't agree with what's going on with, Israel's war against Iran because they don't want any problems. They just want to live in peace and live out their lives. And unfortunately, Netanyahu and his fucking entire leadership crew, they're not interested in that. They want to take over the Middle East. Well, I got news for you. It ain't going to happen. Let's see. Jesse says, if I know how to clean 70-year-old Lionel Marks III rail tubular track, and it takes 2 days of soaking in Coca-Cola and a Scotch-Brite pad to clean. Oh, that's a good idea. I'd have never thought about that. I tried the Scotch-Brite pad because I bought my wife an O-scale set, just an oval, and I painted the train cars for her the way she wanted and all that. That's her Christmas train, but hopefully one of these days she'll make a little mini layout. It'll be more permanent. But I couldn't get the track clean, so I shit canned them, and I bought the new track that has the roadbed on it, and it's much nicer than the tubular stuff. So, and it wasn't that expensive, so I went and bought that, made her a new oval, and later on I'll get her, other pieces if she needs them. Rinse it with hot water right after cleaning the track. Well, you'd have to, because that's just metal. It's steel, I guess, or aluminum. I'm not sure what it's made out of, but they never went to the nickel track that HO did and N-Scale does. So, but that's a lot of it's a meatier track, and there's a lot more meat on the pickups on the engines too. But I always thought that was a problem. My biggest issue with the tubular track is It's fine if you don't take it apart all the time, because what happens is it rings out the centers, the pins that go between the tracks. They start falling out, and you have to get a pair of pliers and like squeeze everything, which distorts the track a little bit, and it's a real pain in the ass. So, of course, I can't afford O-scale anyway, but yeah, So, I don't know, but all I do know is, like I said, getting back to politics, if Trump doesn't fix this somehow, he's going to get fucking decimated in the midterms. If we put Democrats in the midterms in the Senate and the Congress, he'll be a lame duck president for 2 more years. Nothing will get done. And we'll be in a total clusterfuck all the ways around. So I don't care how pissed off you are at him right now, we cannot afford to let the Democrats take over either house. And the first thing they do is try and impeach him anyway. Jim, how big is your train shed? It's 12 by 32. 12 foot wide, 32 foot long. That was the biggest shed that I could buy at the time. I wanted a bigger one. I had the money for it. I paid $8,200 for this one. It's a wood shed, has a floor in it and everything else. So it was nice. Now they're about $12,000. The price has jumped up a lot, but I wish they would have had a 14 wide, but they didn't, because my original track plan was left and right side with no centerpiece. So I wouldn't have needed a drop down. I would have had a circular end on each side, and I needed 2 more foot for that. So I had to change my whole track plan because I couldn't get what I wanted. What I should have probably did, and I didn't at the time. I said, oh yeah, that's like 15 grand here. Yeah, I'll bet. I should have bought 2 of them. I had the money, I sold my house down in Naples. I got $298,000. I paid $172 for this place, paid cash. It left me with $107,000. So, like I said, I kind of went hog wild. I mean, I bought things I needed. I knew I had to put some money in the house. I put $60,000 in the house, to upgrade things and repair any damaged items, because the previous owners kind of trashed the place. They were mad that I bought it, So they did as much damage as they could before we moved in. I had to buy a riding mower because, I'm almost 2 acres of land almost. So I bought a riding mower. That was $2,000. The shed. So but I had the money. I should have bought 2 of them and put them together, and I would have been fine. But I didn't. I just wasn't thinking, I guess. I was pissed off because originally I wanted to get a 20 by 40 metal building. And I didn't really want to spend money on a pad, because then I'd need permits and shit. And see, here in Sebring, you don't need permits if it's not on a pad. It's not considered a permanent structure. But if you have to pour a pad down, well, now you're gonna raise your taxes. You got to pay for permits, get inspected, all kinds of horseshit goes with it. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. So I said, well, I contacted the shed people, and I says, can I put a wood deck down? He said, oh yeah, that'll work. So I paid a guy $5,000 to build a wood deck. It was anchored in the ground and everything, wasn't going anywhere. And the mother person, oh, we can't put our sheds on wood. It has to be on concrete or gravel. Well, that's not what you told me. Oh no, we never told you that. Yeah, you did, you fucking liar. If he had been in front of me, I probably would have beat the hell out of him, or tried to, I was really mad about it. And I said, you know what, fuck you, fuck your shed. I hope you go out of business, and I'm going to help that along if I can, So I got my deposit back, because I put up a $2,000 deposit, and I got that money back, and told them to shove their shit up their ass. And the broker that I was dealing with, I said, what do you got this, I don't need a floor for, or I could put on my existing floor. He says, well, we got sheds. They got floors built into them. They're 12 foot wide, and the longest one is 32. I said, yeah, that'll fine, What do I got to do? He said, well, we can't put it on your wood platform. you're going to put it on the ground. I said, so I got to pull the platform up. He says, yeah. So $5,000 thrown away right there. But I did it. Then I had to take down 2 trees because they would have been in the way. So it's like, fuck, that was another grand there. So I mean, I lost a lot of money on this whole deal, but ultimately I got what I wanted, sort of. Then dancing girls that warmed your house party were big bucks too. I'd been broke for sure. Now you're fantasizing. I mean, if I were single, I might have done that, but not a good idea for a married guy to be doing that kind of shit. But and then there were other things I could have looked at too. The church around the corner from me is a Baptist church, and they brought in 2. They're not mobile homes. They're like mobile homes, but what do they call them? They have a name for them. They're square. They're rectangular mobile homes. And they butted 2 of them together to make one big fucking... And that would have been fine, too. That would have been like 20 by 40. And I could have bought 2 of those new ones. Probably wouldn't have cost me that much. And they didn't require a platform either. They're on axles. You just set them on bricks, and you can leave the axles or shit can the axles. Once again, it's not considered a permanent structure. And I could have done that. All right, Floyd, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. We'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully. 6 o'clock, don't forget. I could have went that route, or I could have even got a couple of office modules, I guess you call them. There's another name for them, too, and I can't think of it offhand. But or even a couple of house chores I could have got. Gutted them, Put them together, and I would have been, there were lots of ways to go about it, but like I said, I was kind of in a position where, it took like 3 months before I got this. And I was getting kind of itchy, and I'm going, damn it, I want to get my fucking trains running, and I can't do it without a place to put them. So I said, well, use the garage. So I'm not using a fucking garage, that's for my car. I'm going to get a damn train shed one way or the other, if I got to build one myself, damn it, I'll do it, I knew that I really couldn't, but I would have probably tried. So, like I said, I wound up just doing this because at the time, it was the easiest way to go and the fastest. I even looked at, possible containers, the metal containers, like they use for, trucks and stuff. And they're relatively inexpensive. I think they're about 4,000 or 5,000 each for new ones. Used ones are a little cheaper. They said don't buy used ones because the chemicals that are in there that, from being used are potentially lethal. I said, well, I don't need that shit, So I'd have bought new ones. But I would have had to get 2 of them and, weld them together and cut open the centers. And it would have been a lot of work. And I just didn't want to go there, So this seemed to be a smart thing at the time. Like I said, it wasn't crazy expensive, so I went ahead and did it. Bernard says, big boy here will be here Friday. He's spending the weekend here. We got to get them girls by. Yeah, right. That's cool, though. So, yeah, it's just, but realistically, though, I mean, if I'd have got 2 of these, it would have cost me twice as much to outfit them, I paid $8,200 for the shed itself, and then I had to put, insulation in, walls, electrical, plumbing, Now, if it was wider, I would have probably put a toilet in too, just because. I would have tied it to my, septic tank. But it would have cost me, it cost me probably another, I'd say $2,000 or $3,000 to outfit the inside of it. And that didn't even include the bench work. The bench work was probably another grand, So this shit, it starts adding up. Yeah, basically a double wide. So, it would have gotten really expensive real quick. And the deal is, you think you got $100,000, you're rich, but you're not. Because $100,000 doesn't go as far as you think it does. Not anymore, you know. I was on Facebook the other day, which is rare for me, you know, and there were 2 ads in there. One was from Dolly Parton, you know, the singer, country singer. And she says, I have $500,000 for anybody who really needs it. So I wrote her back and I said, well, I don't need 500. I need 100,000. I can pay off all my debts, fix my truck or replace it, you know, get my car painted, pay somebody to fix some of the things in the house because I can't do it anymore, and I'd be set all the ways around, you know. So he says, you know, if you want to give me 100,000, I'll take it, and I'll be very thankful. Haven't heard a fucking word back from her because it's probably bullshit anyway. And Elon Musk, he had a similar ad. He wanted to give away $1 million to anybody who needed it or wanted it. And I wrote him to say, well, look, I don't need $1 million. I just need 100,000. You know, if you want to, you know, donate 100 grand to me, I'd be eternally thankful. And I'm not greedy, and I really don't need $1 million. You know, so I haven't heard from either one of them. So it's probably bullshit, you know, and always things like that usually are. It'd have been nice though. I mean, they got the money to do it, you know. But Elon's worth what, like $80 billion or some shit like that, or I don't know how much money he's got. He's got a lot. And Dolly Parton, she's probably a billionaire too, you know. And they're both, well, Dolly's getting up in age. And what's she gonna do with all that money, you know? You know she's gonna donate some of it. But, you know, it was a nice fantasy there for a minute, but, you know, not gonna happen probably. I don't play the lottery that often, so I don't count on that either. The last few times I played, I got 0 numbers right. Not a 1. That's why I don't play the lottery that much. I mean, back in the day I did better. I at least get, you know, 2 or 3 out of them. You know, if you get 3 out of 6, you get something, like $9. At least it paid for your ticket. But now, I mean, I can get single number right. You know, it is what it is. So, but I sure could use about 100 grand though. So if anybody wants to donate, you know. You know, I was talking to I have a younger brother. He's 12 years younger than me, and he's always looking for riches. You know, that's his life. He's like, I'm going to get rich one day, and I'm going. What's that, Tom? Jim Elon called me the other day. We were planning to meet next time he is nearby. Like, yeah, that's the good April Fool's joke there, Tom. But if you're for real, tell him I need 100 grand, all right? So, anyway, so I was talking to my brother on the phone about a week ago, and he goes, yeah, he says, you know, I'm working on a business idea that can make me billions. And I go, well, that sounds good. So, what is it? He said, well, I can't tell you because, you know, I can't tell anybody. It's just I've got 2 other partners, and we're like, you know, got NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. All right, whatever. So he says, yeah, we just recently got a financial backer to help us out. And it should, if it kicks off, which it should, so I'll be worth billions. And I'm going, just remember your brother. I need $100,000. I don't need millions, man. But you know, he's like, well, you know, his greed kicks in there. I don't know if I'm going to make that much money. Well, you just said you're going to be a billionaire, you know. So, and he thinks he's going to make money. He's done about every get-rich-quick scheme you could think of. And not a one of them so far has panned out. I tell you, dude, you're wasting your time. You know. Either pyramid schemes or plain out, you know, scams. It's not that easy to make money, you know. And I was painting for a company that one of the houses we were painting was for this multi-millionaire. That was his name. I can't remember his fucking name, but he built one of the biggest mansions in Marco Island. This is quite a few years back. Turley. John Turley or John, I don't remember what his first name was, but he was an ex-baseball player. Well, he made his money on a fucking insurance pyramid scheme. And he tried to get us in on it, all the people that were working. He said, look, you could buy right into this, man. I says, well, the problem is you're already at the, at the top of the pyramid. You're the one making the money. The rest of us, we'll be at the bottom. We ain't going to get shit. And you know it, So you want us to throw our money in there and get a pittance back, if anything, while you're racking up the big bucks. Ain't fucking happening. So shove that up your ass. He didn't like me too much. But it's true. Bernard said, just paid 10 grand yesterday in property taxes. Fuck me, no train buying for me this year. Yeah, I hear that. That's a lot of money, 10 grand. A lot more than I paid. I paid $1,361, I think it was. It's not bad. It's a lot, though, because, I'm on a fixed income. I mean, if I were working, that wouldn't be shit. But well, here in Florida, he's trying to do away with property taxes. Now, I'm 66 years old now, and I just found out that there's a senior discount at 65 and over. I just found out about it because they don't tell you. They're taking your fucking money. They know my fucking age. But you think they tell, sir, you're over 65. We can get you a discount on your property taxes. They don't fucking tell you shit. So I gotta go down there, I think in the next week or two with the paperwork. I gotta get a signed thing from my doctor because, I'm disabled. Not that should make a difference, but it'll help. And hopefully I can get, if they don't do away with the property taxes next year, I should get a serious discount on it. So we'll see. Bernard, is that for the year? Oh, 10 grand, yeah, I imagine. In Ohio, I think they pay twice a year on their property taxes. I'm sure other states probably do, but I'm not aware of them. I was going to buy a house in Ohio many years back, and I found out that they charge you twice a year for property taxes. Fuck you. That's ridiculous. I mean, hell, it takes me almost 6 months to put together $1,300, And then you pay them and then I have to start all over again? Yeah, bullshit, That shouldn't even be illegal. That shouldn't even be legal. You buy your house, like my house is paid for, but I still have to pay taxes on it. Why? I got no kids in school, yet I got to pay the school taxes. Why? It's bullshit. My kids have been out of school for 30 years or more, almost 40 years. Why the fuck am I paying for, their kids, my grandkids, great grandkids? It's bullshit, So, something's got to change here. The good news is, I think I remember 7 or 9 states are trying to do away with property tax. I started buffering. Well, that's weird because I'm still in the green over here. Might have been on your end. I don't know. I don't have my monitor on, so I can't tell if it's on my end or not. But I'm still in the green. I've been in the green the whole time I've been live, so don't know. Jim, I'm on Social Security. Used to give all seniors tax breaks until like 73, then pull all seniors tax breaks. Is so fucked up we should have to rent or pay property from. Oh, I know. Well, and that's fairly new anyway, because like I said, in the beginning of this country, there wasn't no such thing. Matter of fact, I don't believe there were property taxes until 1913. And it's like even way back, like in the West, when you if you took a loan out for a house, there wasn't no fucking interest on it. You paid back the money you owed. And of course houses were so cheap, but money wasn't a lot, but at the time. My dad, he bought his house, the one we lived in up north, he bought his house in 1955. He had a 5-year mortgage. And he paid it off before I was born. And now, like, I think the lowest, well, you got 15-year mortgages, 30-year mortgages. They have a 40-year mortgage, and they're talking about a 50-year mortgage. Why even bother? Just call it rent if it's for 50 years. Unless you buy your house in your teens or your 20s, you ain't gonna live long enough to fucking pay it off. Wouldn't that be considered rent? And that's bullshit too, There should be no interest on mortgages. You borrow the money for your house, a small fee for the paperwork and whatever, and that's it, Instead, a $100,000 house in 30 years cost you $250,000. So $150,000 goes to the fucking bank for doing nothing. That's bullshit. It needs to change. And that's at like 2 or 3%. But 6% is probably even more. And the way they calculate it anyway is bullshit. You know what mortgage means, don't you? It means death pay. Mort being is it Latin maybe? I don't remember, but mort translates to death, and gauge I think translates to pay or something like that. So it's death pay. So it's bullshit too, I said they got us all by the short hairs, and some of us know it, some of us don't, and it don't matter which category you fall in, because you can't do a fucking thing about it, unless we want to go to civil war. If civil war ever does happen, all this shit's gonna change. There won't be no taxes on nothing, and there shouldn't be. Taxes is just legalized theft is all it is. Well, here, we're going to take your money whether you like it or not, and we'll decide what we're going to do with it. Well, fuck you. You think we'd be over there in Iran right now if it wasn't for tax money? Because the government has no money of its own. They take our money and they do what the fuck they want with it. And I understand they're getting something like $2 trillion every year just from income tax. That's a lot of fucking money, and what are we getting for that money? Zip. The bullshit. I said I'm on Social Security disability, so I've been on it since 2007 after I had the stroke. I started out with $1,100 a month, and I'm now up to $1,617. Not a lot of money, it's not bad. I'm not bitching. If they kept up with inflation, I'd be getting about $4,000. That I'd be real happy with. Anyhow, like coal is a joke. What I get was good 12 years ago. Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think it was $47 on this last cola. And they're like, you're getting a lot of money this year. Based on what? If you think $47 is a lot of money, you're living in another fucking fantasy world, man. That won't even buy you a night's dinner. It's ridiculous, my wife, I took her yesterday to get her other eye, the cataract surgery done. And the deal was, after she got done, I had to take her out to eat, because, I got her there at 9:49 in the morning. We didn't get out of there till almost 2:30. They had a few complications that didn't go quite as ways with, but they got it fixed. But, anyway, I'm diabetic. I need to fucking eat. She hadn't had nothing to eat from the night before, because you can't go in there with, they tell you not to eat the night before. So I took her to Dairy Queen, because, last time we were going to go to Dairy Queen, and they're right next to Burger King, and somehow or another I missed the Dairy Queen parking lot and wound up in Burger King, and I must have been off in another dimension that day and wound up buying Burger King, which wasn't that great. But anyway, so I took her to Dairy Queen. We each got, burgers and fries and drinks. $21 fucking dollars for the two of us. And I'm thinking, motherfucker, you know, that should have been like $6 or $7. Not anymore. Oh yeah, well, see, I don't pay the insurance, thank God, because I'm on, disability. I get special help or extra help, whatever, because I'm diabetic, obese, heart disease, stroke. So it kind of got off easy, so I don't have to pay the monthly fee. I don't have a deductible either. I used to have a deductible. I don't have that anymore. All my medications are free except for one of the insulins. That's the Novolog, which is the after meal one, or before meal. And I pay $12 and change for that for 3 months worth. $4,000 worth of insulin. Oh, the rest of my insulins and my other, I only take 2 other drugs, Carvedilol for my heart, and the water pill, and the warfarin. They're all free because of the extra help. So I do okay in that respect. But my wife on it, I signed her up for extra help. I was in the understanding she got it, but she's not getting anything for it. So I don't know what the hell's going on with that. She had to throw out down. When I had my cataracts done 7 years ago, I was with United Healthcare at the time. And my out-of-pocket costs were quite high even then. I paid close to $2,000 to get both eyes done. I had to pay for the... Well, I opted for the good drops because they get these eye drops. You can either get the 3-deal one, or you can get the one that does everything. So I said, just give me one that does everything, and I don't have to fuck around with it. That was $150 for, both eyes. So I said, that's not bad. So I paid that up front. Then it was $600 per eye was my copay. And then there was some other exam fees and shit. By the time I got through, I was about $2,000, And, of course they sprung a lot of it on me. But, and they were nice enough to let me pay on time because, I said, dude, I don't have that kind of money. At the time I think I was getting $1,300 a month. And I said, I got bills to pay. I can spare a couple of $300 every month and that's it. Yeah, no problem. All right, cool. And I paid them and everybody's happy. My wife, she had it done up here in Sebring because I had mine done in Naples. She's probably paying a little over $2,000. $600 per eye. I paid $40-some for her drops because either they came down, I think they're different drops. And then they got her with these, the hell they call it, some sort of a fee. And that was like $600 or $700. I think, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And she says, I can't afford this shit. What the fuck good is this insurance for? And I said, well, I told you not to go with United Healthcare because I had that to begin with. I'm with Humana now, and they take pretty good care of me. So, Bernard says, sure you were playing kings and queens like a couple of teenagers. Hell yeah. Yeah, right? But, it is. It's bullshit. It really is. But, and that's all they're doing. They're trying to get the money that insurance won't pay them. Now, I don't know what it costs now, but when I had mine done, it was $7,000 per eye if you paid out of pocket. And that covered everything except for the drops. The drops were $150. So I wound up paying, $600 for each eye. So that was literally 20% of the $7,000, I guess, or thereabouts. But then they hit me up with the lab fees and all this other shit. And it's like, well, why isn't my insurance covering that crap? I had extra help back then too, but like I said, United Healthcare isn't that good of a company, I don't think, anyway. So, and the only reason I wound up dropping them like 4 or 5 years ago, well, 6 years ago, because I take a specific type of insulin. I like the Lantus. It's the all-day stuff. You only have to take 1 shot a day, and it seems to take better control of my diabetes. They had me on the other one. I can't remember the name of it now, but You have to take it twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. It doesn't work worth the shit. But they were able to get that one cheaper. So they said, well, we're not going to give you the Lantus. You'll have to take the other, Levemir. We're going to give you the Levemir instead. I said, but I don't want the Levemir. It doesn't work that good. I want to stay with the Lantus. Well, we can't give you the Lantus. So I went and hunted down. I said, I got to find another insurance company. I said, I'm sick of these assholes. So I talked to somebody who represented Humana, and they said, oh yeah, we'll get you whatever you want. I said, all right. I said, you guarantee I'll get Lantus? She goes, I'd do one better. It won't even cost you anything. Okay. So, yeah, because I was paying for it with United Healthcare. Wasn't much, but that's not the point, you know. So, yeah. And I told my wife, why don't you go with Humana? That's what I got. Well, I don't know. The broker I dealt with told me United Healthcare was the better deal. He said, they give you Aetna before that, and I told you Aetna is the biggest fucking waste of time there ever was. And Aetna actually partnered with United Healthcare. So when you went to United Healthcare, you're still getting Aetna. You know. I said, they both suck. Why you ever listen to me, you know? She doesn't like to listen. She likes to listen to experts. And the experts are usually pulling her chain anyway. So that's where we're at with that. So now she can't change it until next year. See, because I'm disabled and I get extra help, I could change mine anytime throughout the whole year. I don't know why, but that's the rules. So I said, you know, as long as Humana takes care of me, I'll stick with them. Plus, they give me what I call the green card every month, which they just reloaded it. I get $50 to spend on whatever I want, pretty much. I could buy food, I could buy over-the-counter medicines, I could pay bills with it, I could do whatever I want with it, pretty much. I usually buy food with it. $50 is $50, you know. And it rolls over every month. And if I don't spend it, I don't lose it. It just goes over to the next month. So if I get 2 months, I'll have $100 on the card. I don't generally do that, but if I did, it rolls over till the 12th month. And after 12 months, if you don't spend it, you lose it. Then it starts again. So, you know, I figured that's not a bad deal, you know. My wife gets what she called, well, she gets a white card, the same thing as a green card, except that she gets $25 every 3 months. What the fuck are you supposed to do with that? You know, I mean, it's a joke. So, you know, the broker I talked to, and that was really just, it might have been an act of God for all I know, but I said I was getting pissed off, and I said, I got to find another insurance company. And the next day, I get a phone call, and it's a fucking insurance broker. And I said, well, you know, you're in luck, because normally I'd blow you off and tell you to stop bothering me, but I want to change my insurance companies. I said, you know, this is what I need. Can you help me out with this? Oh, yeah, absolutely. So she says, you need the Humana Gold program. I said, all right, fine. Sign me up. You know, so I got lucky. But there's that's a burger and fries at Dairy Queen here, you know. Yeah, that's the, it's real nice they got them here, and they got good food. I got a double cheeseburger. That fucking thing was this thick practically, you know. I mean, yeah, it was kind of expensive, but it was real meat. And it damn near filled me up, man. The fries were good. They weren't fake or, you know, GMO crap. Because the shit I got from Burger King, that burger was tiny. That was a double cheeseburger. It was about that thick, you know. Had these paper thin patties in there, and I paid like I think I paid $22 at Burger King. That was about three or 4 months ago. Oh, plus I got a gum infection, which happens more often than not at Burger King because their meat's not clean, or something ain't clean. So, you know, I'll take Dairy Queen over them. Well, I used to go to Wendy's. Yeah, quick story on Wendy's. Years ago, remember when Dave Thomas died? Dave Thomas was the founder of Wendy's. Well, he fucking died, you know, from old age, I guess. And the day after he died, they changed over to soy burgers. Because I used to buy lunch there every day. I worked at the golf course and we had one across the street. So I'd just go over there and, you know, buy lunch, and I'd get a double cheeseburger and large order of fries and Coke or a Pepsi or something, right? So I immediately saw, I tasted the difference. This isn't a burger. So I went back. I said, what the fuck's with the soy? Well, that's not soy. Yes, it is. Don't lie to me. I said, well, here's the deal. I said, I'm not coming here anymore until you go back to real meat. Man, whatever. We don't care. No, I don't either. I stopped going there for like almost a year. And then somebody I knew went there. He said, yeah, they're serving real meat again. I said, you sure? He said, yeah, I could tell the difference. So I went over there, and lo and behold, they had real meat. He said, the soy didn't work out for you too good, didn't it? Well, we just do what we're told. We're just a franchise. And it doesn't matter. It's bullshit. The founder dies and you try and save money. The company does anyway. So, but they've gone back to soy again. The last time I went there, it was like $30 for 2 people. And the burgers sucked. I mean, you could tell the difference between soy and real meat. And soy for men is not good because, it shrinks your balls and gives you tits. I don't want to go there. So, so I don't eat that shit, But it's ridiculous the prices they're getting for stuff. It really is. I mean, I remember when you could feed 2 people at McDonald's for about $4 or $5. Now it's 20. It's ridiculous. And the food's worse than what it was back in the day. It was like, Ray Kroc, he was the founder of McDonald's. He died. And McDonald's went right down the shitter after that. And they weren't doing that good before he died. They got caught using horse meat, a few other things, and now the burgers have worms and a worm meal in them. They say it's good for you, but, I don't want a worm burger. I want a hamburger. I don't give a fuck whether it's good for me or not, It's ridiculous. I mean, they do whatever it takes. When I was a kid, like I told the story before, we didn't have a McDonald's in our town up in Jersey. It's like 50 miles to get to the nearest McDonald's. I don't remember what town. It was in a city, actually. So once a year, my dad would throw us in the car and we'd go have a McDonald's meal. It's one day a year. And of course, it was dirt cheap. It was back in the mid-'60s, early '60s. I think a cheeseburger at that time was like 20 cents, 15 cents. I don't remember. And you got a massive burger, And I remember, I was a little kid, but the burgers were big, even though I was small, They're bigger than they are today. I mean, over the years, they just shrunk, You got a good meal for next to nothing. And here we are, 50 years later, and it's just all garbage. It's bullshit, man. It ain't right, And it's all because of greed, And when you look at what these places make every year, I think McDonald's brings in something like $14 billion a year in clear profit. That's after they pay everybody and pay off for all the food. Oh, we can't afford to lower our prices. Yes, you can. That's why I said if the government had any fucking sense of responsibility, they'd tax the shit out of these places. So you know what? You don't want to get taxed so high, lower your prices. We'll lower your taxes. They won't do it, but that's what they should do, If I were the president, that's what I'd do. You know what? I'm tired of you bending over the American people. I'm going to triple your fucking taxes and run you out of business. You lower your prices, I'll lower your taxes. Your choice. And they'll do what I tell them because, otherwise they're going to go out of business. And if they do, so what? Yeah, like I said, I'm a hard ass when it comes to that stuff anyway, because there's no reason for it. It's pure greed, We can't afford to make less than $5 billion a year. Why not? What the hell are you doing with all that fucking money anyway? $22 an hour for these fast food is, well, of course it is. And I, just like I said, probably most everybody else said, if they raise their fucking wages, it's going to raise the price of the food because these places ain't going to take a hit on their profits, you know. Because a lot of people thought, well, you know, the Democrats, they're stupid. Well, if they pay their people better, you know, they just have to take less profit and everybody wins. No, nobody wins. And now they're saying these assholes that were, you know, begging for more money, that's not enough. Now they want $30 an hour because, you know, 22 ain't enough. Well, of course not, because when you raise your prices, whoever does business with you has to raise their prices, and it just eventually comes back around, and you're right back to square one. You're just working with more money, you know. When I said, when I was a teenager, 15 years old, I was washing dishes for a truck stop. I was getting $2 an hour. I brought home $147 a week after taxes. I had an apartment that I was paying for. I paid all my bills. Of course, I owned my own car. It was an old car, but it's still mine. Paid for my gas. Ate well. Had money left over to play with on $2 an hour. Today, if you're making $50 an hour, you may not be able to do that. You know. What happened? Something got out of balance, you know. I said, I rented the apartment. It was $55 a month. And included everything except for a telephone. Electric was included, water was included, you know. They just wouldn't pay for a phone. You wanted a phone, you had to get your own phone, but I didn't need a phone, so I didn't care. And then after I got married, the rent went up. Well, our first place, my ex-wife and I rented was $165 a month. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, small apartment. And then that guy decided he wanted to convert it into a kid's nursery. So we had to go somewhere else, and it just, every time we moved, the price went up. Next thing you know, I'm paying $600-700 a month. For what? The same thing that I had that I paid $165 for. Oh yeah, sure. I tell them checks in the mail. I love you too. 7. Don't worry, it's only a cold sore. Kiss me. And Ray says this shit bubble we live in isn't crazy. Well, it is, you know. It's all because of greed, you know. I mean, I remember as a teenager, my friend's dad, he was a butcher at Publix. So he made good money. I don't know what he made, but it was considered really good money. He would buy a brand new Cadillac every year. Paid cash for it. A Caddy back then was about 13 grand. Paid cash for it. And I know because every year he bought his new Caddy and invited us all over to go for a ride in it. Says, come on, gonna ride in the new Caddy. And we did this every year, you know. Today, a new Caddy is like $60,000-70,000. It's half the fucking car. It's a big piece of shit, you know. But they're getting ridiculous money for it. Why? Because they can. Bernard says, geez, we're getting flooded. Been pouring all day. I gotta head out here, guys. Sorry I pounced on the chat. Guys, big fingers, mouths. Yeah, no problem, Bernard. Well, listen, don't work too hard, man. Take care of things and don't get floated away. Because that would suck. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. 6 o'clock, don't forget. So, you know, things just got so out of balance and out of control. My Uncle Sam, he worked for Ronzoni Control Company, which was the ones who made the pasta, you know, Ronzoni, spaghetti, noodles, all other shit. He was a sales rep. He got 25 cents an hour more than the laborers in the plant. They gave him a lease car, which was good for 3 years, and at the end of 3 years, he could buy that car for $1, which he did. You know, and he gave it to one of the family members. I think he gave it to his wife. You can't do that anymore. You get a lease car, you pay, you get it for 3 years. You have to turn it back in because if you want to buy it, it's about $2,000 less than a new one. Even though it's 3 years old. It's bullshit. Bernard says $85,000. Jim, my new grandson's new truck was fucking, yeah, I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's nuts, And who the hell would give that kind of money for a fucking pickup truck? It's a truck. You buy it, you beat the shit out of it, and someday you buy another one. It's total bullshit. They're not worth anything. And if it's a Ford, he's doubly fucked because Ford has like 60 open recalls on their F-150s and F-250s. I was paying $300 a month for a one-bedroom my daughter moved into the same complex. One bedroom, yeah, I know, it's fucking ridiculous. $1,400 a month. I mean, I rent my guest house. My guest house is basically one room and a separate bathroom. Has a kitchenette in there, it's nice. It's about, I think I figured out one, 650 square foot. It's small, but for an elderly person, that's who I got. Tina, she's elderly, well, she's my age, and she's disabled, and she loves it. She just, every time I see her, she goes, I really love this place. I hope you never kick me out. I said, well, if you pay your rent, you'll be fine. I charge her $600 a month, and that's cheap. I could be getting between $800 and $900 a month for the same place. But I says, because she asked me when she first asked me, she said, why is it so cheap? I says, well, it's not that it's cheap. It's that I don't really need the money. It helps. But I don't feel right trying to charge somebody ridiculous money for nothing. I says, if you're paying that much, you're not going to stay. You're going to keep looking for something a little better. I says, $600 a month, you'll probably stay there the rest of your life, and that's fine. I'll never raise your rent. No reason for me. My house is paid for. If something goes wrong, I'll fix it, no problem. Because everything's new in there anyway, so I don't have to worry for a few years. So she's very happy, but, I could have got more. And initially I was going to ask $800 a month. And I got to thinking, if I do that, I'm no better than the rest of the assholes out there. It's money for nothing. All right, Lee, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. Bernard says, still have my 77 Ford, paid $4,700 cash for it, and still, the old stuff better anyway. I'm driving a 2004 Grand Marquis. Car has less than 100,000 miles. I think I got 96 or 97,000, and I'm the second owner, so I know that's accurate. Because I took it from my dad. It had 13,000 on it when I took it from him. He couldn't drive anymore. And I love that car. I need the paint job, but it runs great, except the air conditioner quit on. I got to get that fixed. And I have a 2003 Ford Ranger. It's not in bad shape. I mean, it runs, but I've got some minor issues with it now I got to fix. And I paid $1,800 for that 6 years ago. I bought it used, and it's got 250,000 miles on it. It don't matter, it starts up and runs. And once again, if I had the money, I think I would buy a slightly newer one. I say slightly newer because I don't really want anything over 2008, because that's when the cars start going to shit. Single wide mobile homes here are 13 and 19. I know. And even the buy one is outrageous. I mean, I remember when you could buy a mobile home, a single wide, a 60-footer, for about $12,000 to $15,000, and that came furnished. Now they're like $100,000, and I'm thinking, are you fucking kidding me? Years ago, this was back in the 80s, late 80s, I think. I was with a different girl at the time, and I really wanted to buy something, for the both of us. And they had these park models, which is a fancy term for a square mobile home. They're not crazy big, but they're not small either. Fully furnished. Really nice places. Had all the up-to-date stuff and appliance and all that. $22,000. I qualified for a loan. Of course, they're brand new, so it wouldn't have been a problem. And the only reason I didn't do it, because they were talking about making it an HOA, gated community. I said, no, will not live in a gated community. Because if you left it alone, and they never did make it a gated community. I guess the people that bought it said, no, fuck you, we're not doing it. And if I had known that, I'd have bought one because, the price was right and I could have paid it off in a few years. Those same places are worth about $100,000 now, but, like I said, at the time it would have been a good deal. Oh, hell, Lee, sorry I didn't see you. That's a 2001 7.3 Power Stroke, got 426,000, still pulls good. That's a diesel, right? So yeah, and they're good trucks. Like I said, everything before 2008 is pretty much a decent vehicle, most of the stuff. Ford especially, they made pretty good stuff. Now Dodge, it's always been iffy. Chevy, well, I don't know. The Chevy Silverados weren't bad, but I've always preferred Ford for trucks. But like I said, all the new shit, 60 open recalls, everything from the transmissions falling out of them, the rear wheels locking up at highway speeds, catching fire because of bad ignition switches, motors just flying apart for no good reason. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, they had something that worked, and they went, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But no, not Ford. It ain't broke, but let's fix it anyway, and we'll make it worse. And once again, I think it comes back down to greed, And all this crap they put in these vehicles. Do you really need a 15-speaker stereo system or sound system in your car? Hey, you want to go to a concert, they're around, they're not that expensive. You don't really need one in your car, You need 42 fucking airbags? They won't save your ass anyway when a whole fucking thing collapses around you and cuts off your legs and your arms anyway, $1,500 an airbag, and like I said, there's like 15 of them in there at least. Can't imagine why cars cost $50,000. You take all that shit out of there, they could probably build a decent car without all the surveillance and bullshit stuff in there. They could probably still build a decent car for, $12,000 to $15,000. That's all they're worth. When you got to take out a fucking mortgage to fucking pay for your vehicle, there's a problem. It's bullshit. That's why I said, if my car breaks down, if I blow an engine or something, I'll put a new engine in it. Won't be easy, but I could still do it. The transmission goes off to pay somebody for that because I can't do trannies anymore. But I'd put a new transmission, even if it cost me $2,000. I don't care. Because the new Ford transmission, the 10-speed automatics, they just fly apart, man. They're garbage. Why do they have them? So they can brag about 20 miles to the gallon? Big fucking deal. I get 28 miles to the gallon on a 4-speed transmission. I don't need 10 speeds. It's all horseshit, man. That's what I'm saying. It's just, but it's our fault though, because if we didn't pay the money, it would have never got to that point. But I imagine the idiots that are running these companies go, you know what? We're getting $15,000 for a new car. Well, when we come up next month, let's ask $20,000. They'll pay it. And they did, and we did. Well, here you go. As soon as we paid the first ridiculous amount of money, so we could do this every couple of years until $50,000 for a fucking car. Ron, I've been Ford since my Mr. Majestic 69 had 12 from F1 to F4 Ford F450s, and now there's no number one. Building a good truck. I know, that's what I'm saying. They ruined them, you know. I mean, I'm still waiting. If Toyota comes out with their $10,000 pickup, and Trump says he's going to try and get them over here, I will buy one. Because it's a base truck. It's got nothing in it. No ABS, no airbags, no heavy computers. It's a little 4-cylinder, standard transmission, basic pickup truck. You know, I'll take it for 10 grand. I'll buy a new one for that, you know. But like I said, for what I need it for, it'll be fine. I just use it to haul shit with, on occasion. You know, my truck, it can sit out there for a fucking year and I'll never use it, you know. I'll have to go jump the battery because it's been sitting so long. Because I don't use it all the time. I bought it to haul shit with because I didn't like hauling it with my car, you know. I used to put wood and everything, insulation, everything I've built in here, sheet right in the trunk of the car, you know. Or in the side window through the door. 2x4s and shit like that, you know. It was a pain in the ass. It's a fucking car, not a truck. So I said, you know, I got the money, I'm going to go buy a used pickup, you know. And, like I said, but I've always liked Fords, man. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the cars. Their trucks have always been good. Their cars, they had a lot of problems. My dad used to buy the Grand Marquis. The first one he had was a 97, I think. Grand Marquis. Total piece of shit. What a brand new. It didn't last long, so he got rid of it. He traded in. He got a newer one. I think he bought a 98 after that, or 99. Once again, total piece of shit. Then he bought a 2001 or 2000. It was a little better, but I was constantly fixing shit in it. You know, power windows would go bad, replace the motors, or the fucking, you know, the assemblies, because they had wires in them, you know, cables. So when he finally he bought the 2004 brand new. He bought it, you know, late in '04. Didn't have any miles on it. He paid, I think he said he paid 20. He said he paid $29,000 for it because it was a $32,000 car. He bought it, paid it off in a year. And like I say, he hardly ever used it, you know. So when I took it in 2010 because he couldn't drive it. You know, the Alzheimer's were starting to take over, and the last time he drove it, he wound up in Miami and then back up to fucking North Florida practically. And he kept missing the house, you know. Went like 150 miles, overshot the runway on each end, and so then I thought, you can't drive anymore, you know. And plus, he never paid his car insurance, so they suspended his license anyway. I got a letter in the mail saying, you know, your dad needs to surrender his license because he hasn't paid insurance. You know, well, he shouldn't be driving anyway. So I took the car, 13,000 miles on it, from '04 to 2010, and I hardly ever drove it. You know, and I've been driving it ever since. And now I got 90. I think I got 97,000 on it thereabouts. Still under 100,000. And you know, and mechanically it's in good shape, but the paint job, I had to put a new roof on it because the roof rotted. The paint fell off, started rusting, and before I got a chance to really fix it, it literally rotted away. So I paid a body shop to put a brand new roof on. It cost me $1,200, and that included paint. So it was a good deal. And that's the only part of the car that still got good paint on it. The rest of the paint job sucks, you know. So I'd like to get it repainted, but I can't afford to right now. If I take it to Amco, I think it's Amco, they want $2,300 to pay, which isn't terribly bad. You know, and I'll get a decent 2-stage paint job on it. Plus, I want to change the color. I hate that fucking green. They don't call it green, but it looks fucking green to me. So, you know. John Nippenberg. Hey, John, how's it going, man? Good to see you. It's Thursday, April Fool's. I know. I didn't do it on purpose. It just happened that way. But if I had, it would have been a good April Fool's joke. Now, that's a test mostly to make sure that everything's working right for tomorrow night. My overlay's still not working. I don't really care. I'm going to go live tomorrow night and run OBS because last week I did StreamYard because OBS wasn't working at all. Just been doing a 4-hour rant, yeah, huh? Hey, check this out, man. This is my new rant prologue, I guess you call it, or whatever. Check it out. That's what you'll see when I want to do a rant from now on. So I have to make new stuff, so I figured why not. It was funny. But I wanted something different, so I said, you know what, I got to start over again anyway, so what the hell. But so yeah, basically, yeah, I've been on the air now for how long? 2 hours and 6 minutes. Thanks, Russ. I appreciate that, man. That's my rant one, and then I got this one here for. I don't do this often, but because I did a train show 2 months ago, and I actually had a haul. I don't know when I'll do the next one. It'll be sometime, probably a few months, but I did this for the next train show haul. Hey, I liked it anyway. I thought it was pretty cool. But I still got a few things to set up for the stream deck I haven't gotten around to yet, but at some point I will. I said I got different cameras. I got the main camera, got my overhead camera, and the doodle cam, and the east cam doesn't work for some reason. Got my intro and outro, same as always. So once again, I wanted to make sure everything was operationally enough. Will I have trains running tomorrow? Unlikely. It's possible, but unlikely. I'm not going to have any time to fool with it tomorrow because I got to take my wife back to the doctor to do her follow-up for eye surgery. She got her second cataract done. So that's good. She'll be done with that after the follow-up. She'll be done with them. And very creative with the moving steamer. I don't know what else to do. I said because I like things that move. I like animation, And I'm very limited to what I can do here with the software I have. So I said, all right, let me try and do this and make it work one way or the other. And it sort of did, Like I said, the first one, the rant, I found the sign. I had to change the lettering on it because it originally said, what the hell did it say? Warning, radioactive content or something like that. So I said, I got rid of the content. Actually, I got rid of all of it, but radioactive rant coming up or whatever I put it. And then I figured I'll do a color change on so it's like a flashing deal, So I had to make like a whole bunch of little ones, like they were like a quarter second each or a half second each, and stack them, So you got the regular color, the flashing color, the regular color, the flashing color. I did that for I think it's like 12 seconds. And of course, I found the alarm because I wanted the sound to go with it. And I had a tough time finding a good alarm because that was kind of what I was looking for. They had regular, the nuclear alert sounds. Yeah, that sucks. I want something a little more, beefier. So, what'll I do next? Who the fuck knows? I'll think of something. That's what I do here all fucking day long, right? I don't know. It is what it is. So, like I said, I won't have time really to fool with anything, but it's really getting late tonight. It's already 5:30, so I'll probably be wrapping up here pretty quick anyway. Thomas, is that like a 4-hour tour that ends in a shipwreck? Yeah, it could. What software to use for? Well, actually, I'm using Camtasia. It's my editing software. There's a few tricks in there that you can do certain things. I wish I had more, but you know, I paid $250 for the software like 10 years ago or something like that. I had the maintenance agreement with it, which was $50 a year. And every year they'd bump me up to the new version. So I finally stopped it, but the last version I got was the 2024 version. I might start it up again at some point, and then I'll get the 2026 version. Because every year they add a couple new things in there, you know. And it's kind of nice, so. But it's easy to use. I like using it, and that's what I wound up doing, you know. I've got some other third-party stuff, like I just downloaded it. I still can't figure out really how to work it. It's called Logo Creator. It kind of sucks if you ask me, you know. I said, well, that ain't going to do me any good. So, you know. Like I said, I usually find what I need and figure out a way to use it. And for me, everything is a learning curve anyway, you know, because you think you know something and you find out you really didn't, and you know, you have to do something different. So they're still having problems with Windows 11. Crazy. I told you guys what happened with the computer last week, and this all seems to be back to normal now, more or less. It's actually working faster and better. So I probably had too much shit in there anyway. And I found that with Windows especially, that if you don't format your drive and reload it every now and then, it never works as good. You know, it'll work good for a couple of years, and it slowly starts slowing down and slowing down. Oh no, I'll still be live Thursday. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. This is just a test today. You know, mostly to test, make sure everything's good to go for tomorrow. Because last week I used StreamYard, because OBS wasn't ready to go. So I spent as much time as I could getting this set up, and I just wanted to make sure it worked. Now, my overlay still doesn't work, so I can't like put your comments on the screen yet. I may have that fixed in time for the stream tomorrow. We'll see. I mean, everything works on this end. I just got to type in the right coding on OBS to get it to transfer over. So yes, I will be here tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I said there probably won't be any trains running, not this time. Next week definitely, because I'm this close to getting things set up on the layout. Because I built a new drop arm, and it's operational now. But I still got to add a piece of track behind it. Then I got a piece of track down there for the second main line that I've got to add in, because I'm going to put another short line in. And I'm going to run that steamer that I bought. And that's going to be the U.S. Sugar short line. It'll be a dedicated track just for that. And I'll get a second motorman to run that back and forth. Because I got the first motorman to run the overhead passenger rail that Tom Grassi was cool enough to get for me. And I gotta find time to put that in too. I got so much shit to do, and it ain't funny, you know. And like I was telling everybody earlier, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or Friday. When I get the rent money, I'm going to buy the wood for the floor outside to build the deck for the second room. And tonight I'm going to order the new shed to bolt onto the floor. That'll be my second room. It'll be a 6x8 shed. That'll be connected to this shed, and I'll have a walkway right behind me, you know, a doorway. And I hope to have that all set up by probably the end of next month. You know, I'll have the building up and the floor up this month, but I'll have to wait till next month to put, you know, insulation, walls, and electricity in, and then benches, and then I could start using the room. That's the plan. No. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. Broadcasters in the area along with the FCC have created this test. If this had been a real test, you would have been given instructions. Oh yeah, the actual emergency, yeah. I remember hearing that back in the day. And I added to it, you know. If this had been a real emergency, you'd be instructed to, you know, remove any tight clothing, remove your glasses, find a comfortable chair to sit on, tuck your head firmly between your legs, and kiss your ass goodbye. If it were a real emergency, you know. I can't help myself. That's stuck with me all my entire life, you know. And that's what they really should be telling you anyway, because, you know. Now, for 1 year, because remember, I was born in 1959, and I went in kindergarten when at 62, somewhere around there. I don't even fucking remember. But in first grade, we did the duck and cover. Only that 1 year we did, and they did away with it. But, you know, hiding underneath your desk in case of nuclear attack was about as foolish as anything else you can come up with. There was no way you're going to fucking live through it, you know. And I remember the instructions back then. If there's a body of water like a pool, jump in the pool, you'll survive the nuclear attack. No, you won't. You get fucking boiled alive. You know. And if you think a school desk is going to protect you from a nuclear blast, I got a whole shitload of bridges all over the country I'll sell you for nothing. You know. It's ridiculous, but they actually told people this, and you know, like I said, we were stupid at that time and didn't know better, and you know, well, we'll be safe underneath our desks. No, you won't. It was cool when plans come together. Yeah, sometimes. How about at night when the network TV went off the air, they would play. Yeah, I remember that too. And they had the Indian guy there, you know, the end screen had the Indian in the middle, and I can't describe it. I know what it looks like in my head. I know you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I went off the air. It was around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was no TV until, you know, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And you know, when I lived up north, we had an antenna, 3 channels. That was it. You know, those were your choices: ABC, NBC, and CBS. And we moved down here to Florida in 1969. Kindergarten at 3. Yeah, I knew it was later than that. I don't know. You know, my fucking math skills. Now they took a hike somewhere. They fell off the rails a long time ago and never got back on. So it would have been, well, let's see, I would have been like 65 then? I don't fucking remember. You know how long ago that was? That's all like a lifetime, man. 66 years ago I was born. Fuck. So, you know, they said we came down to Florida and you could get the 3 fuzzies with an antenna, and that's what they were. But they had something called cable. We didn't have cable up north back then. So my dad said, well, you know, what's cable? And he says, well, you know, there was cable. Palmer Cablevision was the cable provider for Naples and Bonita. And I don't know who Fort Myers had, but they covered Naples and Bonita Springs. It was $60 a year. You got 5 channels, and they were crystal clear. for $60 a year. So my dad got it and we had TV. You had ABC, CBS, NBC, PBS, and it was one or two private channels. I don't remember what they were, but that's what you got, you know. And then later on, Palmer Cablevision went away, and well, they didn't have Comcast yet. They had their competitor. Next thing you know, you got 100, 200, 300 fucking stations, and it would cost you $100 a month. Yeah, and it's like, how many channels can you watch at one time? Yeah, and most of them are duplicates anyway. How many fucking cooking channels do you need on cable? They have like 20 of them. Yeah. So, it's funny how things changed over time, you know. I mean, like you said, and I had, my parents bought me, I was, let's see, how old was I in 69? I was 10 years old. I think when I turned 12, I asked for a color TV for my room. And they bought me a little portable 13-inch color TV. Had rabbit ears on it. And you can get the three fuzzies with it. But I had my own TV in my bedroom. You know, that was for a Christmas. My mom said, if you get that, that's all you're going to get. I said, that's fine. And that's all I got. And it wasn't even new. It was used. I didn't care, you know. But, well, nobody has cable anymore. I mean, I shit canned my cable a long time ago, you know. I mean, sort of. I get internet from Comcast, but we don't get TV channels anymore. I mean, you can watch TV on the internet anyway. But I shit canned the TV, I think, it's been at least 12 years. I got tired of paying $130 a month for the fuck I didn't watch anyway. You know. Yeah, it was 300 channels, but fucking $299 of them weren't worth a shit anyway. You know. You want to charge me good money, give me something worth watching. So yeah, I everybody's cut the cable pretty much anymore anyway, you know. You don't need it with internet because you got, you know, YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, Disney Channel, Paramount Plus. You got all these fucking stations you can pay for. Some are free, some aren't. Why in the fuck would you pay for cable? You know. I said I just switched over to Starlink. I still have Comcast. I got to shit can them. Probably Friday. Because I got to take all the shit back to them and I haven't had time to do it. But I'm doing good with Starlink. So why do I want Comcast? Hey Ray, how you doing? Good to see you. Just got here. Guess the universe decided to skip Wednesday this year. No, it's an unintended April Fool's joke. Actually, I'm just testing stuff for tomorrow night. So I'll still be on tomorrow, 6 o'clock. I just wanted to make sure everything was working. So, and it's 5:45, so I should probably get the hell off of this thing. And you'll make some dinner. And maybe I'll come back out here after dinner and fool around with this overlay. I don't know. I don't need to go live for that, I don't believe. So, today's not April 2nd. It's April 1st. Are you playing an April Fool's joke on yourself? So, yeah, well, actually, if the universe skipped Wednesday, I guess it would be the 2nd, technically. But it's not. So, I don't know. Guys are killing me, man. They say if laughter keeps you young and healthy, I should be the healthiest, longest living son of a bitch on the planet. And yet, here I am. Yes, I was turned into a doll. There you go. Well, it said, you guys, hopefully you'll be here tomorrow night because, this is just a test. Not a replacement. I don't know what the hell I'll have to talk about tomorrow. I'll think of something. Maybe even something train related. Who knows? I could show off a few things maybe. I don't know. I'm going to halt printing until I get that glue. Tom Grassi sent me the link for the glue from Amazon. I'm going to order it tonight. So I'll probably order it in the shed at the same time because the shed's coming from Amazon too. So I'll get those two things out of the way. All right, well, that's going to be it then. I could play the outro, but I'm not going to. I have a $1 million model train collection. I'll tell you what, Rush, you got a lot of stuff there, man. And honestly, I don't know why you're not staying with HO. But you got a whole lot of HO stuff there, man. Enough probably to build one hell of a layout, by the looks of it. But April Fools, there you go. Well, I don't think you don't have $1 million worth of stuff, but you're close. The good news is if you sell off enough stuff, you should make enough money to build yourself a nice O-scale set. So you'll be good to go. You should probably start making like a roster or a list of everything you got that you want to sell and get some prices on it. Get out here on the internet, let us all know, and I'm sure a lot of guys will buy stuff. And don't wait too long because, I think it's later this month, USPS, they're going to put a surcharge, a fuel surcharge, on all packages. Just sucks. O-scale is much, well, it is, but it's so much more expensive, I mean, I would have went with that if I had had the money in the room. I mean, you could do a decent O-scale even in this space, but realistically, I'd want twice the space for O-scale. But I mean, when a fucking locomotive, DCC and sound locomotive, can cost up to $2,000, that's a bit of a problem for me. I know there's some cheaper stuff out there, but it's still a lot of money, man. So too hard to give up my big train. I hear you. If you got them, I don't blame you for not wanting to get rid of them. I said I would have loved to have went that route, but I knew that I didn't have the money. See, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was a kid growing up in New Jersey, my aunt, my dad's sister, she worked for Atlas Toy Company in Jersey. I think she was a bit of a thief because every holiday and birthday and everything else, she would give us, HO race cars or a train set. And she always had this shit. I remember going to her house one time and she says, "Oh, good, you're here. Come over here, look in this drawer, pick the car out you want." She had all the HO slot cars, the little ones. Oh, brand new. Yeah, supposed to have 100 of them in the drawer. She says, "Pick one you like and that's yours." Because, we all had our own HO, slot car tracks. I know she was stealing the shit. Well, one day she pulled me aside. She goes, "In the basement, this is going to be for you." So there's a whole bunch of O-scale vinyl trains. So I bought them new. I don't think she bought them. I think she stole them. But regardless, brand new in the box. Everything you can. I didn't have DCC back then. This is back in the 60s. Locomotives, tenders, cabooses, all the rail cars, tracks, switch turnouts, anything you can imagine she had for O-scale. Whole basement full. She goes, "When I die, you're going to get this." Cool. So I probably spent the next 20 years, waiting. Not wishing she'd die, but, knew that when she did, I'd have all these trains. Well, it turns out her own family fucked her over because she left me the trains in her will. I never got them. They took them and fucking sold them. Of course, they're worth a fortune. A lot of stuff was pre-war, pre-World War II. She probably had $500,000 worth of stuff down there. Maybe more. All brand new, still in the boxes. I didn't see the first fucking thing. I got fucked out of it. That's a damn shame, because if I had got that, I wouldn't be playing around with HO right now. But, it is what it is. So, I mean, I agree, though. O scale is better. I mean, now I would never go to G scale. I'm not a big fan of G scale. I think they look too much like toys. Where the O scale at least has a certain amount of realism in them. And the nice thing about O scale is they're heavy enough to where they stay on a track better, Yeah, I'm still going. Get ready to call it a day. Gonna start calling you the Jizzer Bunny. What the fuck's a Jizzer Bunny? Aren't you talking about the Energizer Bunny? A Jizzer Bunny sounds like something else. And I could have been that a long time ago, but I'll leave it at that. But what happens when you put the batteries in backwards in the Energizer Bunny? He comes and he comes and he comes. So I couldn't help myself. All right, I'm getting off here. I'm shutting it down. Not doing the outro. Oh, you want me to do the outro? I'll do the outro if you want. Don't matter to me. I can't put anything up on the overlay, but I'll do the outro. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with me for the last 2.5 fucking hours, and I'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully. Yeah, him too, Jim. Russ, I gotta figure out this O-scale stuff, so I just started, so there you go. It really is the way to go if you can afford it. Problem is, it's just too damn expensive. Alright, guys, I'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for coming in, and be safe, have fun, and see you tomorrow. Yeah, I almost forget. Tom Grassie's Workbench Wednesday, or whatever he's called. He'll be on tonight at 7 o'clock, I believe. No, 8 o'clock. Make sure you're there. I'll be there too. See you then, Tom.